Right now, someone is lying to you. Not maybe, not probably. Right now, a colleague, a friend, a stranger online. Someone is telling you something they know isn't true. And here's what's strange. You're probably lying too. The average person tells 1 to 2 lies every single day. Not big lies, small ones. I'm fine. I already ate. I didn't see your message. Lying is so built into human life that most people don't notice they're doing it. But here's the question nobody ever asks. When did it start? Not for you, not for your generation. For us, for the entire species. When did the very first human being look at another and say something they knew wasn't true? Tonight, you'll say something you don't fully mean, maybe to avoid a conversation, maybe to protect someone's feelings, maybe just because it's easier. And 50,000 years ago, that same impulse existed. That same calculation happened in a prehistoric brain. Someone looked at someone else and chose to say something different from what they knew. The words were different. The stakes were different, but the mechanism was exactly the same. Here's what makes this question so strange. You cannot teach a child to lie. They figure it out on their own. In 2013, psychologist Angela Evans at Brock University ran an experiment. She placed 2-year-olds alone in a room with a toy. They weren't allowed to touch it. She left. When she came back, 25% of the 2-year-olds lied. 2 years old. Before they could read, before they could write, before they could tie their shoes. They looked an adult in the eye and said something they knew wasn't true. Here's what makes that remarkable. The children who lied weren't the morally broken ones. They were the cognitively advanced ones. Lying requires something most animals cannot do. You have to understand what someone else believes, then build a false version of that belief inside their mind without them knowing. That is not a simple trick. That is one of the most sophisticated things a brain can do. And here's where it gets interesting. Because lying didn't start with humans, not even close. It came at us from 3 different directions. The first, chimpanzees. A subordinate male spots food. He says nothing. No calls, no signals. He waits until the dominant male is gone, then goes back to eat alone. He knew the food was there. He chose to hide it. That is tactical deception. The second, gorillas. A female gorilla was observed mating with a subordinate male in silence, both suppressing the calls they would normally make to avoid the dominant male. They didn't just lie, they coordinated their lie. The third, plants. Some orchids mimic the smell and appearance of female bees, so precisely that male bees try to mate with them, transferring pollen in the process. No bee, no flower. Lying is not a human invention. It is one of the oldest strategies in the history of life on Earth. But here's the part nobody talks about. Because while animals deceive, what humans do is something different, something categorically different. In 2004, biologist Richard Byrne at the University of St. Andrews studied 18 species of primates. He found something extraordinary. The bigger the neocortex, the more deception the species practiced. Bigger brain, more lying. Think about that. The brain that lets you plan for tomorrow, that lets you imagine things that don't exist, that lets you understand what others are thinking. That brain is also your lying brain. Intelligence and deception didn't evolve separately. They evolved together. And this is where the story takes a turn nobody expects. Scientists have proposed something radical. Language, the thing that makes us human, may not have evolved so we could share information. It may have evolved so we could control it. Daniel Dorr, a linguist at Tel Aviv University, spent years studying the origins of language. His conclusion was stunning. Language didn't just make lying possible. Lying may have made language necessary. Think about it. A chimpanzee can hide food. It can stay silent. That's deception. But it's limited. You can only deceive someone about what's in front of them, right now, in this moment. But language changes everything. With language, you can lie about things that aren't here. Things that happened yesterday, things that might happen tomorrow, things that exist only in your head. A chimpanzee cannot tell you it was somewhere else when the fruit disappeared, but a human can. The moment language could describe the past, it could lie about the past. The moment it could describe the future, it could lie about the future. The two things arrive together. But here's the part that should make you uncomfortable, because lying doesn't just come naturally. It gets easier the more you do it. In 2016, neuroscientist Tali Sharot at University College London ran a series of experiments on dishonesty. Her finding was unsettling. Every time you tell a lie, your brain's response to dishonesty weakens. The amygdala, the part of your brain that registers discomfort, fires strongly the first time you lie. The second time, a little less. The 10th time, barely at all. The first lie feels wrong. The 10th lie feels normal. The 100th lie feels like nothing at all. Your brain literally rewires itself to make lying easier, which means the most dangerous liar isn't the one who lies all the time. It's the one who started small, just like everyone else, just like the very first human who ever did it. So when did the first human lie? We can't know exactly. There is no fossil of a lie, no archaeological record of deception, but we can trace the edges of it. The neocortex began expanding in Homo erectus. Around 1.8 million years ago, theory of mind, the ability to understand what others believe, appears fully developed in Homo sapiens be at least 300,000 years ago, and language sophisticated enough to construct a real lie. Most researchers place that between 100,000 and 300,000 years ago, which means the first real human lie was probably told somewhere in Africa, around a fire, to someone who trusted the person telling it. The oldest written lie we can actually read, ancient Mesopotamia, around 2400 BCE, a court document, a man accused of a crime, denying it, providing a false alibi. Think about that. The details are different, but the mechanism is identical to the one your brain uses today. So, here's the full picture. When did humans first lie? Before civilization, before writing, before language was fully formed. The neocortex expanded, and deception expanded with it. Language emerged, and lying became unlimited. And then something else happened. Every lie made the next one easier. Every generation inherited a brain slightly more comfortable with deception than the one before. We don't know what the first lie was about. We don't know who told it. But we know this. Every story ever written, every actor who ever performed, every alibi ever constructed, every white lie told to protect someone's feelings. All of it runs on the same ancient code, built into your brain long before your species had a name. So the next time someone lies to you, or you catch yourself saying something you know isn't true, remember this: that impulse is not a flaw. It is not a moral failure. It is one of the oldest and most sophisticated things a human brain can do. The first human who ever lied wasn't doing something shameful. They were doing something no creature on Earth had ever fully managed before. They looked at another mind and rewrote what was inside it. One sentence at a time, and you do it too. Every single day, and every time you do, it gets a little easier.